Hello and welcome to TVB News. One man and one woman are being held by the police after the bodies of two dead babies were found inside glass bottles in an apartment in Turmun on Friday. The arrested duo are believed to be the babies' parents. The force is investigating the cause of the deaths. Mimo Sangai reports.
This is the building on Kaiman Path in Turmun where the tragedy unfolded. On Friday, police received a report from a cleaner saying two dead male babies were discovered in a two-bedroom apartment. The babies were put inside two glass bottles, each bottle 30 centimeters tall and filled with an unknown liquid. The cleaner said they were asked by the landlord of the unit to clean up the place after tenants moved away. The couple were the tenants.
I'm now here on the street outside the Mayhem building in Turmun, where the incident happened. One of the residents said they were worried about the incident, but didn't know the details.
This woman said she had not noticed anything unusual. I don't come back here often. I have a grandson at home, so I'm not here most of the time, she said. This woman didn't know much more. I know nothing. I didn't see anything, she said, but she believed the area is safe. Speaking to the press in the early hours of Saturday, police said the couple are the parents of the dead babies. The suspects were arrested for the illegal handling of corpses. Oh Yak-tan, chief inspector of the New Territories North Regional Crime Unit, said forensic scientists were called to the scene. After a preliminary examination, experts found no apparent injuries on the bodies. Sources say it is still unknown if the infants were stillborn and authorities are waiting for the anatomy report. The arrested man is a 24-year-old who claims to be a warehouse worker. He is reported to have a triad background. His partner is 22-year-old and works in public relations. The two started renting the apartment in 2022 and only moved away recently. News 9, TVB News.
A family physician said pregnant women should always call 999 if they give birth at home. Mimo Sangai again.
In Hong Kong, most pregnant women give birth at hospitals. A family physician said residents should call 999 even if they cannot make it to a hospital.
When a lady gets pregnant, she should be seeing an obstetrician, and then she should be enrolled with either private hospital or public hospital for future delivery. So she should be delivered in a hospital. If, unfortunately, she could not reach the hospital in time during the period of delivery, and if she unfortunately delivered at home, all right, she should still ring up 999, get the ambulance, and have the baby and herself be sent to the hospital.
Why is it important for pregnant women to go to hospital after giving birth?
The healthcare professionals will have to check if the placenta is complete. If the placenta is incomplete and some parts still stay inside the womb, the lady needs to have some procedure to take out the remaining placenta. Otherwise, it will be dangerous.
Lawmaker David Lam, who is also a doctor, said residents may break the law if they don't seek medical help after delivering birth at home. If anything goes wrong during the delivery process, Lam said paramedics may suspect the cause of death of the infant and contact the police. Residents must register the birth of their babies within 42 days of delivery in accordance with the Births and Deaths Registration Ordinance. News 9, TVB News.
In order to speed up the legislative process for Article 23 of the Basic Law, the Legislative Council convened 4 back-to-back meetings on the Safeguarding National Security Bill today. Among the spotlights today are the exemption on disclosure of treason for legal consultation and critical views towards the government from the business sector. It was full steam ahead at LegCo on Saturday in scrutinizing the Safeguarding National Security Bill. The requirement on disclosure of commission by others of offensive treason stated that if a Chinese citizen knows that another person has committed, is committing or is about to commit treason, the person must disclose that to the police officer as soon as possible. That's unless the action or plan has been made known in the public domain. But it was specified that legal professional privilege won't be affected. Lawmakers sought clarification at the meeting.
Say if I consult a lawyer about forming an army the following day to subvert the state power, of course the lawyer would say no. In that sense, the lawyer is not required to report the matter to the police. This consultation process is called legal professional privilege.
But Lam said if he is not acting in the capacity of a lawyer, there will not be an exemption under legal professional privilege. Another concern from the business sector, associations and chambers of commerce, which engage in advocacy work for their trade.
What
if people report on the government department or strongly criticize the performance, comment on the government's economic policies? Would that be against the law? Let me categorically say this to you all. Sedition certainly does not stop anyone from expressing views in opposition. But if what you're trying to say is to incite hatred, you want people to sabotage the government or the country, then of course it's a separate matter.
On the possession of seditious material, lawmaker Peter Kuhn asked if it is an offense if people keep Apple Daily newspapers in their house, which were bought before the law takes effect. Without commenting on any individual publication, Secretary for Security Chris Tang said if the paper is seditious, the possession of it is illegal irrespective of when it was published. But he said it could be a reasonable defense if you don't remember the paper is in the house if you've purchased it for a long time.
The government said authorities are looking for new sites for the construction of a National Development and Achievement Museum. A controversy was created because of government plans to move the Science Museum from Tsim Sha Tsui to the Heritage Museum in Sha Tin to make way for a National Development and Achievement Museum. Speaking on the radio program today, Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Kevin Yeung clarified that the government has always been looking for potential new sites for the new museum. A container truck is suspected to have lost control and rammed into the tunnel wall of Chun Ching Tunnel this afternoon. This is the aftermath of the collision with damage seen on the tunnel wall. This accident happened at around 1 p.m. in Chun Ching Tunnel along the fast lane towards the direction of Kowloon. Lo Siu-hung, president of the International Association of Professional Insurance Consultants, said the operator of the government tunnel has the right to claim damages from the truck driver. But given the extent of damage, Lo said it's unlikely the regular third-party insurance policy of the commercial vehicle is enough to cover all the compensation needed. Welcome back. A maritime route into the Gaza Strip is being tested as countries band together in an effort to deliver desperately needed aid for many starving Palestinians. With 8 trucks sitting idle at land crossings into Gaza, the U.S., Jordan, France, and other countries have resorted to airdrops of food packages that could feed thousands of people. But agencies say it is not enough. Naswi Karim has more.
The Open Arms humanitarian aid ship, hoping to find a way into Gaza's closed border. The vessel, bearing the same name as a Spanish aid group, has been moored for 2 months at Larnaca port in Cyprus, waiting to sail to the Gaza coast, carrying 200 tons of food and supplies to starving Palestinians. The food is provided by U.S. charity World Central Kitchen. With around 600,000 people in Gaza's north facing famine, the ship was finally preparing to leave with the blessing of the European Union. The voyage, taking up to 3 days, is a test run for future seaborne aid deliveries, with airdrops proving insufficient and hundreds of aid trucks stranded outside Gaza. The route into the Gaza coast is risky, with Israel sounding a note of caution that it would require security checks. Oscar Camps, founder of Open Arms, said he was not concerned about security, but the lives of the people in Gaza. The European Union, US, UAE and other countries are involved in the project, with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen hoping the ship can set sail on Saturday.
The humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire, with innocent Palestinian families and children desperate for basic needs. And today we are facing a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, and we stand by the innocent civilians in Palestine. But the key challenge is to get the aid to the people on the ground in Gaza.
For now, though, the people in Gaza must rely on airdrops, which come with its own risks. Palestinian authorities say 5 people died after some of the parachutes failed, dropping heavy food pallets on homes in Gaza. Aid agencies are accusing Israel of refusing to provide adequate security for aid trucks amid the conflict and a breakdown of law and order in the Strip. Meanwhile, ceasefire talks in Cairo have stalled, with the Hamas delegation leaving the Egyptian capital. Hamas insists that any deal that would free more than 100 Israeli hostages must pave the way for a permanent ceasefire. Israel has reportedly agreed to a 6-week truce, but wants a more limited agreement. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Yemen's Houthi group has claimed responsibility for an attack on a Singapore-flagged vessel in the Gulf of Aden. The Friday attack was aimed at bulk carrier Propel Fortune, which continued to sail with the missiles failing to cause damage or injuries. The Houthis said on Saturday they were behind the attack. Their spokesperson said the group also launched 37 drones targeting American warships. American officials said early Saturday that the U.S. Navy allied warships and aircraft shot down 15 bomb-carrying Houthi drones in the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea. On Wednesday, an attack on a commercial ship killed 3 crew members. The Houthis say they are targeting U.S., British, and Israeli-linked vessels in solidarity with the people of Gaza. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has raged on for more than 2 years. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the war is helping the American economy.
Our security assistance has kept the Ukrainians in the fight, and it's also strengthened our economy. These investments have expanded facilities and created jobs for American workers, and the weapons that we've sent to Ukraine to help defend itself are made in America by American workers nationwide, from Texas to Ohio to Arizona.
Last month, the U.S. Senate passed a $95 billion foreign aid bill with assistance for Ukraine and Israel. $60 billion will be dedicated to military aid for Ukraine. The Turkish president offered to host a peace summit between Ukraine and Russia as he held talks with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky. Recep Tayyip Erdogan urged Zelensky to talk to Russia, but Ukraine remains firm on not engaging directly with their enemy following Russia's invasion in 2022. Zelensky says negotiations must align with a 10-point plan, which includes food security, withdrawal of Russian troops, and security guarantees. Erdogan has a friendship with Putin, but Turkey is a NATO member. Turkey also has business with Ukraine. Zelensky was given a tour of a shipyard in Istanbul, where Turkey is manufacturing 2 warships for Ukraine. The U.S. government has been forced to defend its record on women's rights on International Women's Day. The Secretary of State Antony Blinken says it is not just a U.S. problem. It came as mass demonstrations took place in Argentina, with women accusing their new president of being a misogynist. David Garrett reports.
Lots and lots of mostly ladies crowding the streets of Buenos Aires. Many central roads became impassable as activists in Argentina marked March the 8th, International Women's Day. These women jumping and chanting say their new leader, Javier Milei, who came to power in December, is repealing anti-discrimination policies. Milei, basura, They say Milei is overseeing restrictions on abortion rights, a softening of prosecutions on violence against women, and has not reduced the gender pay gap. There were more marches here than in previous years and substantially more young women. Michaela is 28. She says Milei is repression and machismo and makes me distressed. The United States is another country where abortion rights have become a thorny political issue. The Supreme Court eliminated a constitutional right that stood for over 50 years. 1 in 3 women under 44 live in states where abortion is mostly banned.
My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it.
Reproductive rights polarise the country, and there are still relatively few female politicians.
There's not that many of us, and I do feel that it is a huge struggle to get our voices heard, and sometimes the reaction from some individuals are they don't think we should raise our voices too much.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild to know that more than 50% of the population of West Virginia are women, yet sometimes I'm the only woman in a committee, period, that's on the committee.
Joe Biden's State of the Union address this week highlighted several women's issues. His Secretary of State, at an event for International Women's Day in an election year, wanted to highlight that.
As the President often says, history shows us again and again and again that when women are safe and free, and treated with equality, their communities are better off, their countries are better off, the world is better off. Holding women back, denying their participation, simply put, is bad for everyone.
While these Mexicans were calling for the opportunity to live safely, protests against gender-based violence in Mexico have intensified. Thousands donned purple, shouted and banged drums with feminist groups. 1 in 10 women are murdered every day in Mexico, making it one of the most dangerous countries in the world for women. David Garrett, TVB News.
A day after a tire fell off from one of its Boeing 777s during takeoffs, United Airlines suffered another mishap. On Friday, a United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 plane rolled off a runway and became stuck in the grass in Houston. No injuries were reported among the 160 passengers and 6 crew members. Video showed the plane tilted to one side with one of its wings close to the ground. The flight from Memphis, Tennessee landed at Bush Intercontinental Airport around 8 a.m. and was rolling towards a terminal gate when it left the pavement. Back locally, the second round of the 3-day Live Golf Hong Kong tournament teed off today. But it was not just the top golfers taking center stage, but also a show featuring famous electronic music performances.
Day 2 of the Live Golf Hong Kong tournament falls on a Saturday. Many spectators showed up at the Fanling Golf Course early, including golf lover Executive Council member Ronnie Tong. He said players at this contest are of a better quality than previous tournaments, and Hong Kong is heading in the right direction and holding more mega sport events. Before the tournament began, spectators could watch the players practice. They include this tourist from Qingdao.
He said
he is among the first batch of tourists from Qingdao who traveled to the SAR via the individual visit scheme after the scheme's recent relaxation, and he bought the $5,900 Club 54 package, the second most expensive one that allows him to watch a show in a luxury lounge. Without setting a budget for the trip, he said he's planning to make the most of the shopping paradise that is Hong Kong after the Live tournament. As today's game teed off, spectators staked a good spot to watch their favorite golfers perform. This mainland tourist said with all the music, Live Golf is more fun than other tournaments.
They should do it every weekend, because then we've got something more to do in Hong Kong. Yeah, and it's everybody loves being busy and vibes good, and yeah, it's like it's the spirit of Hong Kong, right?
This mainland tourist meanwhile pointed out that there should be an area for visitors to store their baggage, especially when many spectators come from overseas. And the fun did not stop at the end of the round, with performances from a famous electronic music sensation, with fun corners for children under the age of 12 as well.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.